Coach, third year of your leadership. Are you right where you thought you would be at this point with the success this year? Plus minus, where are you in terms of what you thought you'd be doing?
Well, again, we wanted to feel like we could win the division at this point. That's really the goal, to help get yourself to the playoffs and all the things that can bring with it. So I can't say that I laid it out what the record was going to be, or none of that mattered. It was just that we were being effective in the division. Every time we took the field, we were going to feel like we could win the game, and that's where we're at right now. So it's we feel like we're in a good spot, but again, we know that the road's only going to get tougher from here.
Sure. Thank you.
How did you deal with the injuries yesterday? I know you said that you didn't think Hopkins was serious, but you were going to check on Riley Reif's injury.
Yeah, there's a couple ankle injuries. Riley, Chris Evans. Those are two guys. We'll get a little bit more information here tomorrow and see how they are early in the week. They may be limited. Trey Hopkins, it's nothing bad. We may limit him a little bit earlier in the week just to get him back and going. But other than that, Thaddeus Moss got his hamstring in pregame warmups, and so that's one that may be the longest term injury we actually had.
Coach, you had Justin Herbert in the Senior Bowl for a week as he was coming out in the draft. What was your evaluation of him? What was he all about? What does he do best?
I think he does a lot of things really well, and certainly it was easy to see why he was going to be a high pick and in that conversation for the number one pick. What I saw from him was a big guy who's a tremendous athlete for his size, really strong arm, could make all the throws effortlessly, was really smart. He mastered all the things that Oregon wanted him to do. And then when you had him at the Senior Bowl and it's a different offense, I just saw him over the course of the week prepare the right way to where really I think we had a walkthrough on Friday, the day before the game. I remember exactly where we were, where he had just taken over complete command of the offense. He was at the line of scrimmage, very commanding. You could tell he'd spent a lot of time at night in his hotel room, calling the plays out loud and being able to get guys lined up and tell them what routes they had, and just really impressed with overall his poise and his preparation over the course of the week to get him ready for that game on Saturday. And he didn't play a lot. He did a nice job when he was in there, but didn't play a lot in that game, but was just really overall impressed with him. And it's no surprise to see that he really started off on a fast start in these first 2 years in the league.
Zach, you said something to the effect after the game yesterday that coaches are allowed to improve too. I'm interested in if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about how you have improved even since the beginning of this season as a game planner and play caller.
Yeah, I think just overall the different situations we find ourselves in over the course of a lot of different games. I think we've done a better job in year 3 handling them than we did in year 1 and at times in year 2. And again, we feel like our team's now in a position at the third year in a system where they're playing with so much confidence. It makes it easier for us. We're in better positions to be in to manage those. But I just think that the thick of this staff has really been together now for 3 years. We've added some pieces over years 2 and 3. We've added the right pieces to where the communication is we're just on top of it during games. We're always on the same page, and we're able to adjust maybe a little bit with a little less effort than it has been in the past, just because of our time together. And so it's just a fun group to be around. Really, really proud to represent this group of coaches because wouldn't trade any of them. They all do a fantastic job and have played their roles really well.
Zach, just to follow up real quick on the injuries. I guess prior to Thad getting hurt, were you planning on using him somewhat during the game on Sunday?
Yep. Yeah, we were.
Okay. And then also, do you expect him to be back this season, or I guess will that injury, how long do you expect him to be out for?
It'll be more than a week, so we'll just have to kind of see where it goes early this week, but it'll be at least a week, probably more.
And also just real quick, y'all had to take Trey out of the game, or I guess, he came out with an injury designation. That's why that's the way it was phrased to us, but y'all have rested him throughout the year. Do you feel like he's where he needs to be at with his knee coming off the surgery for him to be continue to be a starter and kind of play well for y'all throughout?
Absolutely. I thought Trey played really well yesterday. I thought he's practiced more in the last 2 weeks than he has before. So we haven't really limited him. You know, he's been back and going at it. And it was just more of a matter of the game. If that game was not 34-3 at that point or whatever it was, he would have stayed in there and played. I just, one time I saw him get up about half a second slower than he normally does and just thought, why, let's get him out. Let's get some of those younger guys in there. So he finished that drive fine. And then we got him out and started to get some of those other guys out as well. But, you know, he certainly could have played that game and been effective for us.
Coach, I know you didn't see it in real time, and we asked you about it yesterday, but now that you've gone back, do you think the TJ Watt play on Burrow was clean?
You know, it's always, I don't think that that's a malicious player in any stretch. You know, we're always going to be defensive and lean towards the side of protecting our quarterback and keeping him off the ground. And, you know, sometimes the timing of things looks a little worse, and those two players that are engaged don't know what the timing is. They don't know where the ball's at. So, but again, I was proud of our guys. You know, I thought that they stood up for their guy.
When something like that happens, as a play caller, knowing that the game was in your favor, does it make you happy that it seems like you frustrated the other guy, the best player on the other team, essentially?
I mean, that's just one of our game plan goals is to limit their playmakers on the other side of the ball, whatever phase that is. And I think our guys have really taken that to heart, taken a lot of pride in that, and understanding, you know, what we're trying to achieve over the course of game plan. And our guys did a heck of a job yesterday.
The offensive line played really well as a group. Hakeem Adeniji, does he continue to grow on a week-to-week basis?
Yeah, he's playing with a lot of confidence. Sandwich between Riley and Trey, they do a really good job with the communication there. You can just see him. He's always been a confident guy, so I don't want to say he's playing with more confidence, just playing more experience, you know, for finally to get out there 3 weeks in a row now and play. You know, he just plays a tick faster, I think, with each rep that he gets. And he's got a really, really high ceiling. And so we're excited the direction he's headed.
Can you go?
Oh, go ahead, Kels.
Okay, thanks. Can you go back to the off season when you decided to bring Frank Pollack back, what that conversation was like? And then in your first couple of meetings, what you both, when you got together, really wanted to establish? Because yesterday, Joe Mixon gave him a lot of praise for the production he's had. So I wanted to just see a little bit more about the process of that you guys went and what you wanted to establish this year in the run game.
Yeah, we wanted to be thorough with the process, you know, and so we interviewed a couple guys. Obviously, I had a lot of respect for Frank, and he came in, and we just thought we wanted to have a conversation just to make sure everything fits, because that's important for me with our staff, and just thought once I really got to know him and meet with him, was really impressed. You know, in that meeting, you know, we had several players. We're in an interview. We're interviewing a guy for a job, you know, and having that conversation. And several players just came in the door of the interview, you know, which you've never had before. And you just wanted to make sure that they said hello to him, Mixon being one of them, a couple linemen being the other guys. And that wouldn't have had any effect necessarily, because he's once you talk to the guy, it's pretty clear that he's got a great vision for what he wants that to look for, what he wants the culture of the room to look like, what he expects the run game to look like, you know, when he's running that room. But just he's a great human being. I love being around the guy. I love his energy. If anybody ever watches him on the sidelines, whether it's practice or games, he brings tremendous energy, and we need that. That's a great asset to have on the staff. And so just really impressed, really happy to have him. And he's done a great job with that room. And again, he's just, you know, he expects those guys to be around each other, and not just on the field, but off the field as well. As a former player in this league, he understands how valuable that is and how important that is for the overall cohesion of the room. And on top of that, I think he's not only done a good job being hard on the veterans, but developing those young guys as well. You know, he's in them as much as anybody, and making sure that they come along and no detail goes unnoticed, and every rep's critical. And so again, he's done a great job with that room overall, and we're lucky to have him.
Coach, when you look at the rhythm and flow of the offensive line, and Joe Mixon seems lately it's just been working exactly the way you want. What do you think the key to that has been of late?
I think rhythm's a really good word to use there, just because you can feel when they're in a flow. And again, it's our job as coaches to complement that. You know, even though you might be hitting with them a run over and over again, it's our job to do our best to stay one step ahead, and keep them a little bit off balance. And our guys do a really good job making everything look similar. You know, there might be some nuanced stuff, and I think our players have really taken that to heart. And at this point in the season, really have an understanding of what we're trying to achieve with the runs and the complements of the runs and the passes. And so they've done a really good job marrying that up. And once an offensive line and a back are playing with as much confidence as our guys right now, that kind of puts it over the top. And so it's really good to see at this point in the season you hit your stride, and it's pretty effective. Once you get the ground game going, it can be demoralizing for the other team, and it can really energize your entire team, not just the offense, but the defense and special teams on the sidelines as involved as anybody. And there's no better feeling than being able to run and other teams having a really hard time stopping it. You just keep calling it over and over again, and your guys are going to make it work.
Looking back at this last offseason, what were your goals for free agency in the draft? And then what has it meant during those windows to have added so many impact guys?
Well, we just want to make our team better. That's our overall goal. And there's the great thing about the process when you're dealing with Duke and the personnel staff is there is no ego. There's no ego. It's a constant conversation. I think the best thing about it is people aren't afraid to share their opinions, even if it's opposite of what somebody else is saying. Everyone's voice is heard, and it's very thorough, and you talk through it, and then ultimately you pick the player that's going to suit the Cincinnati Bengals the best. And it's not Duke Tobin picked him, Zac Taylor picked him, Mike Pott, whatever it is. Everyone does a great job talking through the situation and making sure that we find the best fits. And that's a credit to Duke, you know, and really his staff, because they do a thorough job on every single player in free agency in the draft. And they have all the information. And then the coaches are just kind of added on top of that. We get a chance to go to the pro days and interview some of the players and then throw that information on top of it. And then you just have a really detailed conversation over the course of several months, and you land on the players that are going to help us. And I think that's been really fun to be a part of. But again, you got to give a lot of credit to Duke and all the guys that work with him, because they just do a tremendous job in that area.
2020 obviously was a very weird year, as we all know. I don't really know why I have to say that, but I just kind of preface my question anyways, unnecessarily. But anyways, y'all, I don't believe saw Herbert Burrow throw live, correct? Because of COVID, y'all never saw him throw live once?
That's correct.
Okay, and so y'all basically had the most extended time with all the guys at the Senior Bowl and had that live look at Herbert, which normally you would have had with Burrow at some point. How did you guys kind of take all of that into consideration as you made the evaluation, as you guys kind of, geared up for that number one pick?
Yeah, I think it really overall it became more about Joe Burrow and less about the other guys. We evaluated everybody. We made sure we had a clear understanding of what everybody brought to the table. But just the more you learned about Joe Burrow, the more that became our decision. And it wasn't anything that these other guys did wrong. It was just this is the right fit for us, and that's the decision we went with. Certainly, if Joe Burrow hadn't been there, Justin Herbert would have been a great selection, because he's a tremendous player and he impressed us in every area. And obviously, he's done a really good job with Los Angeles.
But in terms of getting the evaluation when you're seeing a guy throw live, how do you kind of balance that when you can't see a guy throw live and you're getting a lot of time and making sure that doesn't maybe cloud your judgment, and you kind of stated the evaluation that you had or moving forward? Yeah,
we didn't see Joe Burrow throw live, but we sure as heck saw every throw he's ever made in his life on tape, and it's just the information was just overwhelming that this needs to be the number one pick, and that's the direction we went.
Coach, your wide receivers continue to contribute blocking in the running game. Is this as good a group of wide receivers that'll get their nose dirty that you've been around?
Yes, we want to have the best blocking receivers in the NFL. That's the standard that we're trying to set right now, and that's what they're out to get. And they're doing a pretty dang good job making a statement on that, for the rest of the league to notice, because those guys go out there and they even the starting group, it's not just some of those guys that don't get a lot of reps that get in there and block and are part of the pass game, but there's a great play on the toss sweep to the left side that they called Joe down on the one, where TB, Jamar, and T are all doing a great job on defensive ends, linebackers, and DBs, pinning the box. And then TB's the puller. He's the lead blocker, which usually you have tackles and tight ends do. TB did that job. And so and you look at some of those perimeter plays, where we spit the ball out there to Jamar on two different plays, where TB and T had great blocks on one and TB had a great block on another one. And just really proud of the job that Troy Walters and Brad Craigthorpe have done with those guys on the details and getting those guys to buy in, and they've all bought in. You know, every receiver who got in that room knows that the expectation is you got to block. And we know that they're going to make the plays down the field in the pass game, but just really proud so far of the standard that they've set on the perimeter in the blocking game. And they're going to continue to build off that too, because we're not going to let it slip now.
One last question. Any more?
If Ryan,
Given what you said
I'll
there.
take two more. Go ahead, Jay. I'll take two
Okay.
more.
I was going to say, given what you said there, you know, it's 34-3 early in the fourth quarter. The game's pretty much over. Is there any temptation to reward a guy like Stanley Morgan when it's first and goal at the 1 yard line, or is it just a situation of we're going to do what we do best no matter score and time? And
Yeah, it's never worked out for me when you try to go that way. Those are usually the regrets I have, where you try to do something special for somebody and it backfires. You think, God, if we just would have do what we planned on doing, you know. And so and that goes with trying to break records and things like that. And just my history as a coach, I feel like I learned that a long time ago. Let's just move forward with the game plan and score the points that are there. And you know, it'll naturally happen at some point where those guys get rewarded, you know, whether it's next game or 5 games from now or next, whatever it is. But we just got to do what's best for the team.
And Coach, I'll finish with this. You know, you talked recently about the way the team felt after the Jets game, after the Browns game, of just getting the taste of winning back and getting your mojo back, so to speak. How do you feel about where the team is right now, as far as that goes, in your position right now, being 7-4 as we get down to the final, 5-6 weeks of the season?
Yeah, I think we're in a good headspace right now. Winning was the expectation yesterday, and now, and I don't feel like this is going to happen because it hasn't happened to us this year. But we can't get complacent. The road only gets more difficult from here, starting with the Chargers. And again, we've got the right guys. The message was really good in the locker room after the game. I know the guys are going to respond the right way on Wednesday when they come back in the building. That you know, we're only as good as our next game, you know, and so we've got to put our best foot forward against the Chargers here and really keep this momentum going. Go ahead, Charlie. I know you had one more, and then I'll finish up after you, Charlie.
I was just going to ask, the players not in the building today, COVID, day off, what was the reason there?
I set a standard for them, you know, going into this game, and then they met that standard, so they had the day off today, and they'll be back on Wednesday.
All right, Coach, we'll let you go. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.